I'm Jewish, and I know why you're poor, and I know how this can be changed. If you open this video, something inside you is already restless. Maybe you're tired of constantly falling short of money. Maybe you're tired of checking your card balance before you buy something small. Maybe you're tired of that quiet pressure in your chest when the month is only half done, but the money is already almost gone. Maybe you want a better life, but every attempt feels like pushing a heavy cart uphill. Or maybe you're simply looking for a voice that won't lie to you, won't sell you dreams, and won't sugarcoat reality. Let me say this right away. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to wake you up. Not with insults, not with humiliation, but with clarity. Because clarity is the first step out of poverty. I'm not a guru, not a motivational speaker, not a man posing next to a rented luxury car. I was born in a shared apartment. I lived in a dormitory. I worked 3 jobs at the same time. I know what it feels like to be hungry and pretend it's a diet. I know what it feels like to smile in public and panic in private. I've had periods when I had everything, and periods when I had nothing at all. I've made money fast and lost it faster. I've trusted the wrong people. I've chased the wrong goals. And then slowly, painfully, through mistakes, I learned. What I'm about to tell you is what I wish someone had told me when I was 20. Back then, there was no one around to stop me and say, "You're going in the wrong direction." So listen carefully, without defensiveness, without excuses. If you are poor, it's not because you were born in the wrong country, not because you don't have a degree, not because rich people stole something from you. You're poor because you repeat the same mistakes that millions of people repeat every single day, often without even noticing them. You keep moving in circles and call it bad luck, a crisis, a difficult time. You tell yourself, when things calm down, I'll start. But the truth is simpler and harsher. You are digging a hole for yourself with your own hands. And the shovel is made of habits, fears, emotional decisions, and a refusal to think long-term. In my family, there was a saying, if you want to know whether a person will ever become wealthy, watch how they behave when they have no money. Because poverty is not a number in your wallet, it's a state of mind, a way of living, a habit that quietly controls your decisions. And habits can be changed at 30, at 40, even at 60. I have a neighbor who opened his bakery at 72. No investors, no hype, just discipline and patience. He didn't start because he felt ready. He started because he was tired of living the same year again and again. So don't tell yourself it's too late. Most people don't fail because they start late. They fail because they never truly start. In this video, I'll talk about 4 major mistakes that keep people poor. Mistakes I've seen in friends, in family, and in myself. No mysticism, no fake motivation, no magic formulas, only reality. The most dangerous thing is that most people don't even realize anything is wrong. They buy phones on credit. They order food with borrowed money. They save for vacations but not for education. They chase comfort today and pay for it tomorrow. Then they complain that life is unfair. Life is fair, your priorities are not. If you want the truth, stay with me. Some parts will be uncomfortable. I won't comfort you or make excuses for you. I'll speak the way a father speaks to his son, with care but without lies. When you reach the end of this video, you won't suddenly become rich, but you will have something far more important, a clear plan. And a plan is the first real step out of poverty. Mistake number 1, you spend money you don't actually have. Be honest with yourself. You've felt this before. You get paid and the money is already gone. It disappears before you even realize it was there. On paper you earned something, but in reality nothing stayed with you. This creates constant tension. You start the month already tired, already irritated, already afraid of unexpected expenses. This is not just about numbers. This is about psychology. When you constantly live without financial air, your thinking narrows. You stop planning, you stop choosing, you start reacting. And a reactive person is easy to control, by advertising, by credit offers, by fear. Why does this happen? Because you live ahead of your life. You spend money before it's earned. You mentally count income that hasn't arrived yet. You tell yourself, next month will be better, and spend today as if that better future is guaranteed. Sometimes you even spend money you will never earn. You confuse hope with income. You confuse desire with possibility. And slowly, without drama, this confusion turns into chains. Let me tell you a real story. In the 1990s, I knew a man named Arkady. He worked in a warehouse lifting boxes all day, honest physical work. Not great pay, but enough to live simply and quietly. One day he came to me smiling like a man who had won something. He said, "I bought my wife a fur coat. On credit. 3 years to pay." I asked him calmly without mocking him, "Arkady, do you live in a freezer, somewhere in the Arctic?" He laughed. He felt proud. He felt like a provider. A year later, his wife left him for another man. The loan stayed. The payment stayed. The pride disappeared. Later, he called that coat the divorce coat. This is an important lesson. When you take loans for things that don't produce income, you are not buying comfort. You are not buying love. You are renting poverty, month by month, payment by payment. A phone on credit, a vacation paid with borrowed money, a new TV because the sale ends on Friday. These things feel small, normal. Everyone does it. Yes, everyone does it, and that's why everyone stays poor. Debt for consumption creates an illusion of progress. You feel like your life is moving forward, but in reality, you are standing still while obligations grow behind you. So what should you do instead? First, learn to separate wants from needs. Not emotionally and on paper. Write it down. If something does not help you earn, learn, or stay healthy, it is not urgent. Second, learn to spend from what remains, not from what you expect. Income first, saving second, spending last. And finally, learn to pause. Before every non-essential purchase, give yourself time. 1 day, 1 week. Often the desire disappears. And what disappears with time was never necessary. The ability to wait is a rare skill. In a world built on impulse, patience becomes power. Mistake number 2. You save money on what should make you smarter. At first glance, this mistake looks harmless, even reasonable. You tell yourself you're being careful, you're not wasting money, you're being practical. You're watching this video for free, and that's fine. Free knowledge exists and it can be useful. But if your entire strategy is built only on free things, understand this clearly. Free often costs you the most. You don't pay with money, you pay with time, with repeated mistakes. With years of walking into the same walls and calling it experience, you pay with missed opportunities that you don't even realize you missed. When a person avoids investing in their mind, they don't stay in the same place. They slowly move backward, because the world keeps moving forward. Skills become outdated, markets change, rules change, and your thinking stays stuck in the past. When I was younger, I was convinced I understood everything. I read random articles, watched bits of videos, listened to people who sounded confident. Books, courses, mentors, I thought they were unnecessary. I told myself I was smart enough to figure it out alone. 5 years passed. I worked hard, I stayed busy, I was always tired, and I remained in the same place, same income, same problems, same excuses. Then one day I did something that felt uncomfortable. I spent 1/3 of my monthly income on learning from an old businessman, an old Jewish man. No stage, no branding, no promises of quick success. We sat in a basement, drank tea with mint. He spoke slowly and simply. Sometimes he repeated the same idea 10 times until it sank in. That was when I understood something important. You don't have to pay for mistakes if you're willing to pay for knowledge. Most people do the opposite. They avoid paying for education, hoping to somehow learn on the way. But the road becomes longer, more painful, and more expensive. An untrained mind repeats the same patterns and calls it fate. It confuses motion with progress. It confuses busyness with growth. What should you do? Even if you have very little money, set something aside for your mind. Not entertainment, not status, learning. Books, structured courses, conversations with people who are ahead of you. One honest conversation with a thinking person can be worth more than all the furniture in your apartment. And here's something important. Don't chase motivation, chase clarity. Motivation fades quickly. Clarity stays. At the very least, replace a few evenings of endless scrolling with one serious book. Not inspiration, structure, something that forces you to think, question, and reflect. You won't feel the result in a week, but in a year, you will not recognize the person you used to be. Mistake number 3, you live with a victim's mindset. This mistake is quieter than debt and less obvious than ignorance, but it is often the most destructive of all. It doesn't look dangerous, it looks logical, even justified. People complain, they explain, they analyze, they blame. The country, the system, their parents, the government, the economy, the wrong time, bad luck. And the longer they talk about these things, the more convincing their story becomes. To themselves. Yes, life can be difficult, sometimes unfair, sometimes brutal. No one is denying that. But the moment you define yourself as a victim, you quietly give away your power. You stop acting and start waiting. You stop choosing and start hoping. As long as you believe that everything depends on someone else, nothing will ever depend on you. A victim mindset is comfortable. It protects your ego. It gives you explanations. It tells you it's not your fault. And that's exactly why it keeps you stuck. I'll give you an example from my own family. My grandfather survived the war. He returned to a city that was half destroyed. No comfort, no support, no guarantees. He worked as a machinist, then later opened a small workshop repairing umbrellas. Every evening, no matter how tired he was, he sat down with a notebook and counted expenses. Slowly, carefully, without drama. He used to say, "You may be poor, but you must never be foolish." He didn't complain. Not because life was easy, but because complaining changes nothing. Now look at today. I see people with healthy bodies, internet access, smartphones, and more information than any generation before them. And they say, success isn't for people like me, business isn't for me, money is dirty, I'm just unlucky. Then who is success for? Responsibility feels heavy because it removes excuses. The moment you take it, you lose the right to complain. But you gain something far more important, control. Sit down and be honest with yourself. Not dramatic, not emotional, honest. What decisions did you make that led you here? What did you choose to ignore? Who did you listen to instead of thinking for yourself? How do you actually spend your days? You don't need to fix everything at once. Change one habit, one environment, one influence, and you will feel the shift. Because the moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim, you stop living like one. Mistake number 4, you are afraid to start from zero. This fear sits deeper than it seems. It's not just about money, it's about pride, about identity, about the story you tell yourself about who you are. Starting over hurts because it feels like erasing your past efforts. You invested time, energy, hope, sometimes years of your life. Admitting that it didn't work feels like admitting that you were wrong. And the ego hates that more than poverty itself. But here is a truth most people avoid. Almost every truly successful person has started from zero more than once. Some lost businesses, some lost families, some lost health, some lost everything at the same time. I'm not speaking in theory. I lost everything 3 times. The first time, a business collapsed and left me with serious debt. The second time, a divorce forced me to leave everything behind and start over in a new country with a single suitcase. The third time, my health failed, and I had to shut everything down for months just to recover. Each time felt final. Each time I thought, this is it. And each time after the panic settled, I asked myself the same simple question. What can I do right now? Not what I used to be, not what I lost, not what I deserved. What can I do today with what I still have? That question saved me. Zero is not emptiness, zero is clarity. It strips away illusions. It forces you to see what actually matters and what never did. Most people cling to the past because it feels familiar. Even if it's painful, it's known. They stay in jobs that slowly drain them. They continue paths that clearly don't work. They call it patience, loyalty, or responsibility. In reality, it's fear. If a job kills your energy and your health, staying is not strength. It's surrender. If you're afraid to cut losses and begin again, you're not being careful. You're slowly suffocating. Starting from zero does not mean starting blindly. It means starting honestly. Write it down. What can you actually do well? What problems can you solve? Who needs that? What is the smallest step you can take without lying to yourself? That list is not theory. It is your real beginning. 4 mistakes keep millions of people trapped in poverty. Living on borrowed money, saving on the mind, playing the victim, being afraid to begin again. These are not life sentences. They are habits. And habits are powerful, but they are not permanent. Most people think poverty is about income, about numbers, about luck. That's a convenient explanation. But poverty almost always begins earlier. In thinking, in daily choices, in what a person tolerates and what they refuse to question. Money is not the goal. Money is a tool, like fire. In the right hands, it gives warmth and freedom. In the wrong hands, it burns everything down. Without understanding, discipline, and a clear plan, money will always disappear no matter how much comes in. That's why people who suddenly get money often end up exactly where they started. The amount changed, the thinking did not. You are not poor because you lack money. You are poor because you were never taught how to think differently about money, time, responsibility, and yourself. Poverty is not the absence of cash. Poverty is the habit of postponing life. It's saying later for years. Later I'll learn, later I'll start, later I'll change. and later quietly turns into never. I won't tell you that you're special, or that everything will magically work out. That kind of talk feels good for a moment and does nothing after. I'll tell you what my father told me when I went bankrupt. If it hurts, you're at a crossroads. You can go down, or you can go up, but no one will carry you. That sentence stayed with me for years. No government will save you, no system, no blogger, no wealthy relative. Waiting for rescue is just another form of delay. Only you can change your direction. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But discomfort is temporary. Staying where you are is permanent. I have seen people rise from zero without connections, without capital, without perfect education. They were not the smartest. They were not the luckiest. They had one thing in common. They stopped lying to themselves. They became willing to learn, willing to change, willing to act without guarantees. If you want to continue this conversation, stay with me. Subscribe, not for motivation, for clarity, for experience, for honest thinking. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the new year. Don't wait for permission. You are not poor. You are at the beginning.